All right, guys, so in this video, we're going to be going over hedging against no-shows because even the best scheduling systems have no-shows. Even if you're doing a great job of making sure that your email confirmations get delivered, your SMS reminders are getting delivered, you're sending pre-call content, you have your appointment setters following up to confirm the call, right? Even if you do all of these things, you're still going to have a percentage of your leads that end up no-showing. And so this is the reality. On one side, you can either just wait and hope that they show up, and there's going to be a 20 to 50% chance that they don't, and that empty slot is going to equal lost revenue. Or you can hedge against this no-show by opening that slot for a backup booking so that you can protect your calendar and maximize your closer's time. So like I said, even with a perfect system, some leads are just not going to show up. And the question is, what are you going to do with that slot? And so we have two different options for you guys. So the first one is mark slot as free. And so the way that this works is right in your upcoming events table. I'm going to show you in a second here. You can actually mark the slot as free, and this is going to open that time slot up for new bookings, right? And so obviously the original lead, they still have the call booked, right? And they get, let's say, link A, but then let's say somebody comes on your scheduler and they end up booking for the same time because that slot has now been marked as free. They are going to get a different booking link, okay? Each one of these leads is then able to join the waiting room with their own unique links. And in the case where both leads show up, the closers obviously get notified, and they are able to then pick the more qualified lead, and they can either pass the other lead on to another closer that has availability, or reschedule with the other lead that they didn't end up jumping on the call with. And of course, this isn't necessarily perfect, but this is much better than having an empty slot. Okay, so the second option that we have for you guys is called multi-booking, and this is more of an automated hedging process. And so there's a couple additional features in here that make this even more powerful. So number one is you can automatically allow 2 to 3 leads per slot. Okay, so you don't actually have to manually mark the slot as free. You can set this up with conditions, and you can automatically allow 2 to 3 leads per slot. So this is incredibly useful if you have a very large team, you have a very large amount of calls being booked, and you have a relatively high no-show rate. Of course, if you have tons of closers and you're spending thousands of dollars a day on ads and you're generating hundreds of calls per month, you absolutely do not want to be just missing out on 30% of your available time slots due to no-shows. You want to be making sure that your closers have as many at-bats as possible in order to collect some cash. So that's what this multi-booking feature is for. And so what's great about the multi-booking feature is that you can auto-assign, like I said, 2 to 3 leads per slot, and again, each lead gets their own unique waiting room link. And this is going to, again, it's going to give closers full control. They get to see obviously who joined the call first, but they can see who, if they both joined or if all 3 joined, they get to see who's the most qualified out of these 3. And then if for whatever reason, if 2 or more people ended up actually joining the calls, they can hand these off to closers, and we can actually help you notify everybody in Slack based on when they enter the meeting link, and give them the actual meeting link as well. And this connects with Zoom and Google Meet. So there's just like no way for any closer to essentially waste any time. So let's say a closer is working 10 hours a day. With this feature, and even the mark slot is free, you can make sure that without a doubt your closer is taking at least 10 calls a day, assuming the call is 60 minutes long, right? So there's no longer a need for your closer to spend 2, 3 hours, 4 hours a day sometimes not doing anything, right? Or essentially at least not closing. Okay, now if somebody no shows, the backup is already waiting. That is the huge benefit here. This allows you to, like I said, make sure that you don't have any empty slots. Okay, in the automated hedging, the multi-booking feature works without having to manually do anything. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like, so mark slot is free. This is in the upcoming calls tab of the events page, or the AI scheduler page. So if you just click mark slot is free, it's going to open this slot up to be booked by somebody else, another lead. Okay. And then in multi-booking, you can see here that you can choose between double bookings or triple bookings. You can select the event, you can select the host, and then you can also additionally set a condition in which you want to trigger this double booking. All right, so if we head back over to iClosed, if you click on AI scheduler and then you go to scheduled calls and then upcoming calls, you can see here, you can just click the meeting and then hit mark slot is free. And then just like that, you can see this slot is now going to be available for other leads to book. So this is going to allow one other person to book a call at the same time. And then of course, if somebody happens to actually show up, or if both leads happen to show up, then you would simply have the closer share the other lead with another closer who has availability, or try to reschedule them for another call. So now if we come to the multi-bookings tab under automations, just to give you a quick little diagram of how it works here, it's very similar to the mark slot is free, but it's a bit more automated, and there's a few other additional things that you can set up as well. So I'm going to show you those now. But essentially, again, you can have 2 to 3 people booked for the same slot. And then of course, when somebody does not show up, you have a backup in place, or you have 2 backups in place to make sure that your closers do not have any wasted time on their calendar, no wasted slots. If both leads or all 3 leads do happen to show up, you can have notifications sent to other members of the team to make sure that somebody does end up taking the call. Right, so you want to just click on new multi-booking. By the way, this is an add-on feature, so you'll need to request access from the team. But you go ahead and just name it whatever you want. I'll just name this paid ad strategy call. I'm going to enable double bookings. Now, let's say your average show rate is 50%. Then on average, it takes you 2 bookings to have a call show up. So maybe you'd want to use the double bookings. Now let's say your show up rate is really bad, and let's say it's closer to 30 or 40%, then it would make sense to use the triple bookings, right? So let's just use double bookings, and I'm just going to use Ismail's calendar and just use the paid ads strategy call. Hit save and set live. Now I can configure the notifications, okay? So these are notifications that are going to be sent to Ismail, right, via email. And so I can send him an email when the invitee has joined the waiting room, or when the invitee is in the waiting room for 5 minutes or more without a host, right? And so these are going to go specifically to Ismail, but I can also send them to Emily as well, so that everybody on the team is notified when somebody joins the waiting room, and if they've been in the waiting room for a few minutes without a host joining. And then if the invitee has left, I can also notify people. And then when no invitee or host has joined the waiting room 2 minutes past due, I can also send a email notification as well. So same exact thing for Slack. You can send all of the same exact messages within Slack. You just have to make sure that it's integrated and connected. But you can go ahead and toggle each one of these on as well. You just select the Slack channel. Obviously mine's not connected yet, but you would need to connect it, select the Slack channel, and then go ahead and hit continue. Ideally, you're turning on your email notifications and your Slack notifications for when invitees join the meeting room, and you want to make sure that everybody stays up to date when somebody joins the meeting room. So another great feature to multi-booking that makes it superior to the mark slot is free strategy is the fact that you can set up these additional conditions. So of course there's going to be some situations in which you do not want a lead to be double booked. Let's say they are a highly qualified lead. You want to make sure that you prioritize those leads and you don't double book them, right? You ideally want to be double booking leads that are either most likely to no show or most likely to not close. Okay, so those are the leads you want to prioritize double booking or triple booking. And the way that you do that is by setting up these conditions. And so you can select the event, you can select the question that you want to use as the condition, and then you can select the answer, and this will allow you to only turn on and enable the double or triple booking based on these leads. So if you know that somebody answers with a current revenue of 5K or less, if you know that that lead is less likely to close, then you may want to enable double booking for those leads. Okay, so this is just a very automated version of the sort of mark slot is free option. So if you guys are doing a high volume of calls, if you have a large team that's difficult to manage, you obviously don't want to be doing any of this manually. You want to have everything automated between obviously setting everything up and then having the notifications and then having the sort of conditions that the multi-booking is enabled on. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.